All right, welcome to another special interview edition of I Only Listen to 90s Music. We surprised Stacey with our guest here tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Garfield Bright. Got his PhD. We're gonna jump into that in a little bit. How this brother went from singing to that. Other group Shai, as me and Scott have talked about off in our own text, small take it away from Stacey, of how everybody in middle school was doing If I Ever Fall in Love Again at the talent show. It's got to be the #1 song of the 90s for talent shows.
You had to.
Yeah, somebody got to hit the high note.
and the other one was DRS Gangsta Lean.
Oh wow.
That's it. If your talent show, if you were not doing If I Ever Fall in Love Again, or
Cupid from 112.
No, not Cupid, doing Boys to Men song.
Oh, Coolie Eye Harmony?
In the road.
Hard to say goodbye.
Oh, End of the Road.
Or Hard to Say Goodbye. Like, that's it. It's hard to say goodbye. Those were the songs that were done.
You know what's funny? We only did one show before we got a record deal at Howard University. It was at Crampton. And what we did was a whole bunch of Boys to Men covers. We sung Boys to Men too. We did we started out with 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then I was like, injection. And then we did Please Don't Go Away From Me.
The jam.
Yeah, that was a joint. That's that Coolie Eye Harmony album. Everybody had that.
You
need
to
we did End of the Road. We did End of the Road. I memorized the whole little bass thing from End of the Road because of Mike. You know what I'm saying? And then we got an encore, and then that's when we did If I Ever.
Okay.
And that's when we decided to get a record deal, because that particular show, it was at Howard at Crampton Auditorium, and like that show was like the Apollo. All the football heads, players, and all the New York dudes came there just to boo everybody. Like that was their thing. And it was a whole bunch of talented people. Eric Roberson, it was a lot of talented people in that show. And everybody was getting booed. We just got the luck of the draw to go on last. I guess they was tired of booing. And we got through our whole show without getting booed. And then they asked us for an encore. And we didn't have any more songs on our little DAT player that we had to bring stuff queued on. So we was like, what are we gonna do? And we sung If I Ever. And by the second chorus, the whole crowd of Roughnecks was singing the hook. And that's when we felt like, yo, we might want to try to get a record deal, because if they singing our song, first of all, if they ask for an encore and they singing about a second chorus, we might have ourselves a little special song right here, because that was our practice song. We just had that so we could practice our harmonies and our long notes and our crescendos and all. It was like our practice song.
Okay.
We whipped that joint out, and we got that kind of response. We was like, yo, on the stage when they closed the curtains, 4 of us were standing there still in disbelief, like, yo, y'all want to try to get a record deal? Like straight true story. And then,
so hold on. So y'all weren't officially a group when y'all did the talent.
We were a group, but we were practicing so much. We never did shows. We just practiced all the time. Okay. You know, and so what happened? Okay, so Darnell, Mark, Carl, they're all Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity members, and 2 other dudes, you know, were with them. They were 5. The nucleus of the group is Darnell and Mark and Carl. They were called Beta, because the Beta chapter is at Howard University.
Gotcha. Yep.
Okay.
And so they were just a 2-man situation. And then it was this big talent show coming up. And Darnell and Carl had been Beta doing, you know, trying to get songs placed. You know, Carl was a hell of a lyricist and Darnell was a producer. And they were just trying to get placements. That's Beta. But this show was coming up. And Mark got into the thing, you know, it was a show full of alphas, a group full of alphas. And when Mark got in, he named his special Shai, which means it's Egyptology. It means destiny in human form. You know, in Egyptology, they have male and female counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny is Shai, and then Renenet is like fate. And together they make future, like a male-female aspect of future. And so so Mark came into the group and named the group that based on the fact that he named it Special Shai, and he thought it would fit, you know, the group. But meanwhile, though, it was 5 alphas doing this, waiting, rehearsing to do this show. And so I had got married real young while I was at Howard.
Oh, wow.
My dad claimed me on his income taxes, man. And it messed up my financial aid. And so I was going into my senior year and they just snatched my financial aid for me, man. So look, I had housing left. They let me stay in my dorm, but I couldn't go to my classes my last semester worth of school. Like I had a gym class left and a writing class left. 6 credits.
Wow.
And I couldn't finish it. And I had
6 credits basis. So 6 credits basis.
And when they snatched it, like my only recourse was to try to get a 4.0 to get a trustee scholarship. That was like my angle. Like, oh damn, because I didn't have to lose. So I got that 4.0. That was the first 4.0 I ever got in college. Like that semester, I made it. And because I was in the nation at the time, I had made a lot of enemies. I ran for Howard University student body president as Garfield X, and we ran against the NAACP representatives on campus. And a lot of the teachers kind of like hated on me. They didn't like me because I had the Farrakhan situation.
Hold on, so you was in the hold on. Let's rewind back. You was in the
nation. Was in the nation.
I was in the nation. Man, I lived like 10 lives, bro.
It was in the nation. Hold on.
Garfield X.
Tell you my little story from Howard. Like, yeah, it was Garfield X, man. I was selling final calls. I was first I started off in this group called Black Near Force, which is like a paramilitary type. We model ourselves after Black Panther. Matter of fact, the first and second hip hop conferences were done at Howard University because we took over the A building. They got this dude named Lee Atwater from being on the board of trustees. He was a KKK member, and they thought the students were apathetic and didn't know any better. But we galvanized our forces. A crew of us met behind the School of Engineering building. We had the schematics for the A building, the architectural design schematics, and we came up with a plan. We made sure we roped off and made accessible the mail part because we knew that was federal and they could bring in the national. Like, we were thorough. We took over the A building for like 5, 6, 7 days. They tear gassed us out finally, but we got our demands met. And Lee Atwater was not on the board of trustees. And so from that momentum, the heads of that group, Raz Baraka, who is now mayor of Newark, New Jersey, April Silver, who was like all kind of stuff. Like, she was like, I think DMX's publicist, like everything. She's just this dope female. And they ran for Howard University student body and won because where hip hop was at that time was real revolutionary, Black medallions. It was about that. And so they wanted their leadership to reflect that energy. So those two reflected that energy. And right around that time was when Public Enemy was strong and coming out, and Spike Lee with the movie, Do
the Right Thing.
Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, Do the Right Thing had come out, and all that energy was around, and that spawned the first hip hop conference 30 years ago, basically this month at Howard, and that leadership. And so they deployed me to run for liberal arts vice president first, and I won. And so, we commanded like a $50,000 budget, and then I ended up joining the nation off that energy. I was like really intrigued by that style, Black entrepreneurship, owning your own, accepting your own, being yourself, the teachings, the being an FOI. Like, it was a crack era in DC. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, we was going to all the different projects, holding it down, drug dealers shooting at us because we messing up their flow. But we trying
to the Rayful Edmonds era? This is the Rayful Edmonds era or right after that?
Edmonds and Alpo was coming down.
Alpo was right after that, right?
All that going on and on and on. And so a lot of young brothers was getting their money, but a lot of people was dying and suffering for it. Like, I lived across the street from this place called Clifton Terrace in DC. And man, it was a lot going on there. And I used to patrol that. But yeah, I was in the thick of it. And I was trained FOI and the whole nine, Master before Kendallsworth and everything. And so then, but I was also like, the Nation of Islam started getting government contracts, believe it or not, like Minister Farrakhan, because our security was so thorough.
Right, the FOI ain't no joke.
The government buildings downtown was wanting us to be their security. They was like, forget all that Farrakhan stuff. These dudes, they effective. And we didn't carry any weapons, of course. We had no guns. And so because of that, we was making a big pivot. And I was like this fresh Howard University student while I was in the nation. They wanted me to be the site coordinator over at the cable building. All cable buildings are federal property. So they wanted, a lot of the brothers in the nation come from a real grinded up, hardcore, I was kind of a fresh face, a college student type, and they wanted me to kind of be the leadership over there at that building. And so I had a lot on my plate. I was married, I was managing grown men. It's like 12 men were under me. Like, I was like 22 years old, 21 years old. And so all that was weighing on me. And I was, I ran for Howard University student body. It's like stuff going on so much. It was hard for me to handle my load. So I had to go to the minister, Brother Abdul Alim Muhammad, and Brother Tim, who was at that time the captain of the FOI, and let them know, look, I never quit anything, but this, the main thing me going to Howard was to finish what I started, and this is precluding me from really, at this age, doing what I came to DC to do. Like, So that's, and that lay, you know, they was like, yo, brother, lay back, do what you got to do, man, because of your education. You know, this is special. You need to do what you. And that energy took me to just be hanging out with Darnell. He was my roommate freshman year. Since then, as I went to the Nation, he went and pledged out for it. We reconnected. He was over in Fine Arts building 6 hours a day. I didn't have no job. I was working at a temp agency. I only had housing. I was going through it. I couldn't be in school, but so I just was hanging out with him in Fine Arts, watching these 5 dudes alphas practice for this big talent show. 2 days before the talent show, 2 of the dudes quit. They were scared. They didn't want to get, because they knew it was real hostile. It was just like impossible, man. And so they quit. Now I had been just hanging out with D for maybe 5 weeks of them 6 hours a day in the bottom of Fine Arts, practicing If I Ever acapella, Comforter acapella, Baby I'm Yours acapella.
Oh, so hold on. So all those songs were already written?
Yeah, Carl and Darnell had written those songs before I even got into the group. Well, before I did this show with them, those were just practice songs. Those were songs that they had written.
Wow.
One day, but really they were to get the vocal chops good, because there's certain parts of those songs where you got to hold the harmonies out. They got the different, fifths and different harmonies. And so I had been watching this for weeks. And so when the dudes quit, they went from 5-part harmony to just 3-part harmony. And they had to have at least 4-part harmony to do those Boys II Men songs that they was going to do.
Yeah.
Like, yo, G, man. Darnell was like, yo, G, I know you know the bass. You've been here all this time. I know you know the bass. I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I know the bass, but I'm fresh coming out the Nation. I ain't even thinking about singing and being in no show. But I used to always sing with him freshman year to the girls, because Darnell came from, remember Joe Clark, the Eastside High School?
Yeah. And Patterson.
Darnell went to that school, and those dudes riffed that sung in the bathroom. Darnell's dad, not only was he the counselor or the social worker for the school, but he was their manager, Riff. So we knew all their songs before they came out back in those days. And we used to go to the adjacent dorm and sing them songs to the girls hanging off their balcony.
And they didn't know it was a song that was already out. It
was about to be out. We were singing all these little songs.
Giving them a sample.
And so D knew I could sing a little bit from that. And so so when this situation happened, I covered down, next man up type of thing. Damn, 60 hours. My dad is true, but they was, so I couldn't pledge that. And that's when I ended up going into the Nation. And so I joined them for that show. And I just thought I was gonna play the back, I was gonna help do the little 4-part harmony, but I was just, I was gonna, I was support. I couldn't fathom or even think about one day being in some record deal situation. That was not an aspiration of mine. I was an educator. I worked on Capitol Hill for the Senate Judiciary Committee. I was a political science major. I was about my books, man, to be honest with you. And I played basketball. My team, Brockton High School, Brockton, Massachusetts, we was ranked number 22 in the nation by USA Today. I had scholarship offers to play ball. I had a 38-inch vertical, you know what I mean? I thought, I was a ball player.
So are you from Boston originally?
I was born in Nashville, Tennessee.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
But I didn't stay there. I was born in Meharry Hospital in Davidson County. I remember that. And then my parents moved to Knoxville. And when I was 6 years old, they moved to Alabama, Montgomery, matter of fact. And they worked at Alabama State University. And my 1st through 3rd grade was on the campus of Alabama State. They had an early childhood education program that was off the charts to be a Black school. And they had a school there that all the professors sent their kids to and stuff. And I was in that school. And doing and after school, I was the kid, when the football games was going on, you'll see me on the sideline throwing the ball with the quarterback.
Right.
Or when the basketball games was going on, I'm the kid sitting on the bench with the team and being on the court during halftime. I ain't had no business playing little ball on the court. Nobody else could get on the court, but they'll see this little kid out there shooting better than me. I was that kid, whatever. My best friend's mom was the track coach. I was that kind of. So I saw Black college people all my life. I just thought that was what you're supposed to do. Go to college. I never thought that was a thing that you wasn't gonna do. Every Black person went to college, right? That's how I thought. So when it was time for me, I knew I was going to college, and I only applied to Howard. I only wanted to go to Howard. All those scholarship offers, all that. My dad made a mistake. He worked for the National Education Association, and in my 11th grade during spring break, he had this big meeting in DC. He was like, "Yo, you want to go to DC with me?" Yeah, it was cold as hell up in Boston. And I'll go to DC, but it was still cold in DC.
Right.
But I went there, dropped me off at the steps of the Fine Arts Building at around 11:45 on a Friday. And I'm sitting there just looking at all the history and all
And
that.
then at noon hit it start
bell
popping.
rung from 12 noon, that bell rung and them doors open and all them beautiful ladies came
Yep,
out.
I already said it was
I
popping.
was like, yo, I'm coming to Howard. Oh, I didn't write a letter to nowhere else. I did pretty good. I got back in those days, I barely got 1,000 on my SAT, and that was good enough to get like a acceptance for Howard. So I got accepted into Howard. If I didn't, I would have had to sit out for a semester because I didn't apply nowhere else. I came to HU and met Darnell my freshman year. We were both 17. And you know that, and like I said, then that show finally came, and my goal was to not get booed. Like that was the only thing like, and as we went through our set, each song, and we didn't, because I'm telling you, like some of the dopest performers were on that show, and they all was getting booed, just not because they was whack, because they was dope. Like Eric Roberson, he was singing. The first time I heard Pretty Brown Eyes was from that. I didn't even hear Make Conditions version yet. That's how I knew it was. Oh, he was singing it and killing it. I was like, yo, because he could write songs. I thought he wrote that. And he was blowing it down. And then all of a sudden, it boo. I was like, oh, y'all bloody. And then Sean Allen, Debbie Allen's niece, was up there singing. She used to sing all the national anthems for the Howard football game. And she ended up being signed this group called Pure Soul. They were signed to MCA.
Yeah, Pure Soul.
Blowing some song down, like killing some song.
Hey, what was that Pure Soul song?
But We Must Be in Love.
We Must Be in Love.
The wedding song.
Or something like that too. I was in one of their videos. It was crazy. But she ain't got booed. And then my boy, an MC who did the song and everywhere that my crew goes, Tracy Lee.
Tracy Lee, yeah.
He had this dope song about dorm life, like called Creeping. You're creeping.
And they booed him too?
They just booed people because they was drunk. It was Friday night. It was like they wanted to be the Apollo so bad. They didn't hear what people was doing. They didn't care if he was dope. They just wanted to boo something. And so they booed him. So we was coming on. Like I said, my goal was like, yo, I am not feeling getting booed. I'm not trying to get booed. And it was a hostile crowd. And like I said, we came out with the 10, 9, 8. And we was behind the curtains doing that, right? So the crowd was like,
so just in case they boo, y'all didn't have to come out.
Set the mood, right?
Y'all ain't have to face the crowd.
It was like injection, fellas. And then they opened the curtains and we came out with all this energy, doing all these boys to Motown Philly back again. We was doing all that, doing a little, we did all that. And then we did Please Don't Go Away. We did another song. And then when we did End of the was feeling it. We hadn't got booed. It was a moral victory in there. I was like, yo. And they around and gave us an encore. What? And now we like, yo, all our songs is on this DAT player that we was playing. Like, now what we gonna do? And we was on the stage like, yo, y'all wanna do our practice? You wanna do it forever? You know what I'm saying? All right, let's do it. Ooh, da doo 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 doo. Ooh, harmonies came in by that second hook. I swear, the big burly football dudes in the front row with the gas face on. It was like, we was like, yo, did you see 250-pound nose guard right there blowing our joint? So we was like, yo, let's try to go get a record deal. And that next week, we went up to New York to the Avenues of the Americas, where all the labels at that time, all the labels was on that street. And we went into like Elektra, all these different labels, and dudes be on the phone, smoking a cigarette, listening to us to sing a cappella, not paying attention, you know, just fun. And we didn't get the deal up there, but when we came back, WPGC Radio in DC had a softball, you know, they used to play baseball games with the community at like parks and stuff. We gave them a demo. They loved it. They put it on this new thing they had called Home Jams, and it started blowing up. And off the strength of that, we had made our own little acapella demo, right, to service the labels. We gave it to the MCA. They loved the song, but they were scared that it wouldn't get airplay because it was acapella, and it wasn't like Boys and Men, Coolie High, that was already known attached to the movie, you know, Coolie High Harmony. Mm-hmm. So they were like, some program directors might not play it between music songs. So they gave us a demo deal, gave us some money to record a music version, and contingent upon how dope or not that music version was, that was going to determine whether or not we got a real album deal. And so what y'all know is the music version was what we came up with. Okay. And as a matter of fact, when we finished that music version, mixing it, like 2 o'clock in the morning, we was coming out, getting in the car, I'm slobbering, and we turned on the radio. Now we've been hearing our song in the studio all day. We get in the car, turn the radio on, and we hear, ooh, and we so sleepy.
Y'all heard the acapella version on the radio.
It took a second for us to realize that was on the radio.
Was y'all.
We were hearing it so much. We was like, oh, is that our joint? You know what I'm saying? And that was the first time we heard the song on the radio. And it was just kind of destiny. And even the label heard the music version, they loved it, and they were ready to sign. They were ready to give us a record deal, and that's how we got. We had to do our album in 2 weeks once we got signed. They only gave us 2 weeks to do that first album because they wanted to sell albums instead of singles for more money. So luckily, we had acapella, If I Ever. We had Comforter and Baby I'm Yours, and we put that to some music. We made music around that, and that gave us some credible singles off that first album. And we created Sexual and some other stuff. But yeah,
Stacey,
that's
jump in.
how all that went, man. But I
don't know. Stacey got the good question. I know I saw her jotting down about 50 different things.
I just was paying attention. So no, when he was mentioning the acapella. So there is a song called Yours.
Yeah.
Not Baby I'm Yours. Yours.
Yeah. Yours.
Me and 3 other people know this song. Like, I swear to you, I can bring it up and it'll be 3 people to be like, I know that song. I've never heard that song a day in my life.
That was one of my favorite joints.
For it, all this stuff. Nobody remembers that song, and you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it's not on Spotify or nothing.
That's crazy. Probably because the label was mad at us for that. Like, okay, so this is what. Okay, so during this time when Baby I'm Yours was out, SWV, right? Teddy Riley did this Human Nature remix for here, right? And both of them joints was on the chart at the same time, the original and the remix.
Oh,
yeah. And that was the first time the remix was like a different kind of song from the original. Like usually remixes would be like this dude named All Star might take your acapella vocals and just put another track up under it.
It was a totally different song.
They kind of sung it, you know what I mean?
Renew beat.
We was telling our label like, yo, let us do. So Yours was actually our remix to Baby I'm Yours, but the label was scared to put it out on the heels of Baby I'm Yours for fear that it might, like compete. And like they didn't even want to put Comforter out second. We had to we made a bet with them almost because, all right, this is what happened. So If I Ever comes out, we get separated from Black radio because If I Ever went pop.
Yep.
Immediately before we did any shows in the United States, because they had so many connections in Europe and Europe MTV and all that, they put us over in Europe immediately for a promo tour. So nobody knew what we looked like in the States yet. They just knew that song. It was blowing up on the radio. And so when we came back, the first radio that we went to was all like the white radio station.
Yeah, the top 40 stations.
We didn't we was just in the industry, we ain't know nothing, we was just like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. Like then we started getting flat because Silk had just got signed right when we got signed, and they was hitting all the Black radio stations.
Silk.
Keith Sweat had
Keith Sweat.
Keith Sweat knew what to do because he had ingratiated himself so well with Black radio. They love Keith Sweat.
Oh, they still do.
Still do. And you know how to play the game. Keith Sweat comes from Wall Street. People don't realize he came out of a Wall Street background.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Keith Sweat, man. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we just some college Howard dudes, but we started noticing that hold up, that people is hating on us, but it's not even our fault, but they blaming us. Like we supposed to know better. So once we finally caught wind, we tried to double back and go to Black radio more than, and then we started explaining it to them what was going on. And then they finally started giving us some love, but they were on the brink of not playing us because they thought we were kind of like trying to be a separatist, bougie thing. It was like, nah.
So y'all was the first all for one. They was trying to make y'all all for one.
Yeah, we weren't trying to do that. We only knew who we really were. Like, for real. I came from the nation.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, B. And so, but once they met us, and talked to us and felt us like that, but our label wanted to put Baby I'm Yours out after If I Ever. And we was like, I was like, because Baby I'm Yours, the acapella version, we used to play with the piano in practice, and all those chords is Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On. That's Let's Get It On, basically.
Oh.
Let's get it on. That's the same chords as Baby I'm Yours. And when it's in that form, it's soulful. I loved it. But then when we did the track to it for our album, they tried to first put us with a producer named David Way, who did Kissing Game for High Five, and he popped it out. His versions of Baby I'm Yours was way pop. And we was like, nah. So we had to kind of give the label a little bit of that because they wanted that. So you hear it in Baby I'm Yours, you hear that. I hated that, right? Because it made my song that I used to love so much because it was Marvin Gaye. It made it sound pop, man. I was so disappointed. And they wanted to put that out second. I was like, nah, hell no. Because the people on the streets was telling us like, yo, I love If I Ever, but that Comforter joint, that's my joint. You know what I'm saying? Comforter, I was like, yo, we human products to our label. I was telling them, look, we humans, but we human products. We in the marketplace. We can talk as products. Y'all should listen to us. And Comforter is the song that the people want next. I'm telling you. They were like, look, basically how that lady told LeBron to dribble.
Shut up and dribble.
Right,
Shut up and dribble. They was basically like, shut up and sing, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
We was like, y'all are dead wrong. We know more than y'all. And they was like, okay, we gonna prove it to y'all. So they let Comforter come out with no promotion, right? They didn't put no money. They gave us another cheap video, no promotion. But the pulse of the street, Comforter was loved. And back in those days, people could call up and request songs and make a dent that way. It wasn't all about the big consulting firms. It was right before that where people can actually make or break you. And so Comforter, on its own strength, came out the gate and went gold as a single without no push. And they were so pissed at that. And it went top 10. It went top 10 without them doing any, like the radio execs, they get with the radio stations, do payola, do all. They didn't do none of that for Comforter. They just kind of like
Comforter was strictly the street. Comforter was
like, let's see what they do with it.
Straight laissez-faire, hands off, right? But Comforter had his own momentum. So when Baby I'm Yours came out on the heels of Comforter, they had to do all the payola, all the different things to get it moving and cracking. And then we decided to do the video at Howard, and that kind of put it over the top. Once we joined it with a black school.
Because then people were like, because I remember that when I was in middle school, I was damn near in high school, and I was like, yo, like they doing it at Howard. That's dope.
And we did that too for Howard to give back, to help recruit people to go to Howard, to show campus life in the context of our video. That kind of makes it more relevant and modern. People like, yo, I'm gonna go to Howard. They went to Howard, we knew what we were doing. And so we did it partially for that, and partially because the song was, to me, too pop, and that blackified it a little bit. And so they had to do all that money stuff. And because they had to do all that, they wanted to make sure they basically showed us who was boss, because Comforter organically was doing better without any money than Baby I'm Yours. And so we did a remix to Baby I'm Yours, that Yours piece that she was talking about. We were in Florida. I was sitting on the toilet and I wrote my verse. And, you know what I'm saying? We recorded it while we were doing some promo stuff with the Florida Marlins. We were singing the national anthem at one of their games or something. And we was in the hotel, and I wrote, my little verse to Yours. Tell me what you need and I will make. That was my first time writing some my own lyrics and shit.
Write some lyrics.
Yeah, I was able to get my little writing chops. So I picked a girl for the video because I was tired of seeing all the, at that time, it was like they want the racially ambiguous looking women.
All the light-skinned girls with curly long hair.
And I wanted to make a statement like, yo, I want to set another tone of beauty. We came from Howard, but all 16 shades of blackness represented. I wanted an elegant woman who wasn't a typical representation of what they thought beauty was. And I picked one girl for the video. And she was there, and she was real classy. She was like real elegant with the long lines, and she was even shocked that I picked. Like, she was like, yo, I can't believe that y'all. I was like, nah, look at you, you beautiful, So that video, we did out there, we did it in New York or whatever, and the label would not put that song out right behind Baby I'm Yours, like a remix is supposed to come right behind.
So that video ever dropped?
Yeah,
it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, okay.
Yeah, but the label did not put that song out until like this little remix album we did. Like after the first album, we did like a little Right Back At You. We did a remix album, and they put it on that.
Yeah.
But we recorded that thing to be the remix for Baby I'm Yours. That's why we called it Yours,
Yeah.
But they didn't want it to compete. They were scared of it, and I was like, man, y'all are whack. SWV and them. They doing they double songs, they charting all that stuff, and they getting platinum.
They definitely dropped the ball on that one.
So I was on another joint we did.
Go ahead, Stacey.
With Jay-Z.
That was just for I was going to ask you about that. That was the next question I was going to ask you about, the Jay-Z joint.
Look, but we see the reason that was crazy because so we were signed with Gasoline Alley, which was actually a joint venture with MCA. A lot of people thought it was like a subsidiary, but Randy Phillips, big money. He ended up owning Red Ant. He was the man behind the last two for Michael Jackson. Like, Randy Phillips was a major player, and he was friends with Al Taylor of MCA. So he decided he didn't want to do the label thing no more for a minute. They put us directly on the MCA, and when we were on the on the master thing, Mary J's album was coming out. All these people who already had like, they were next up. Shai was kind of like a stepchild on that, because we was coming from over there. And so the Black music department had like 3 turnovers during our second album, Blackface. So we never had any continuity. So we was like, look, we gonna do our own thing. We went out and talked to Marley Marl, Hot 97 DJ at the time, and we was like, yo, we want to do, you know, or we want to do a remix to I Don't Want to Be Alone off our Blackface album. So we, you know, I Don't Want to Be Alone was our second single after Come With Me. And we want to do another remix like how we did with yours that wasn't just like the first, like the regular version. We want to do another. So tonight was the remix for I Don't Want to Be Alone Tonight. And we went to Marley Marl, he gave us the track to Biz Markie that dun 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 doo doo doo.
Yep,
Nobody beats the Biz.
Nobody
was like, yo, that's the track he gave us. Like, oh shit. And so me and Darnell, we wrote that one and wrote it a little clever little way. And then we got the harmonies together, how we want to flip it. We don't want to do too much because we want to keep it hip hop. And we was trying to think of all these people who could rhyme on it. And Marley Marl was like, look, I got somebody that'll kill this. And at the time, Jay-Z had just did Ain't No Nigga with Foxy Brown.
Yeah. That's what I was like, yeah.
He was like the poster child for like Hot 97, like he was coming up and he put him on it. Politically speaking, Marley Marl did the track. He's a DJ at Hot 97. He put Jay-Z on the track. So he got invested in the song just like we do. So he definitely won it. It became #1 Hot 888 for maybe like a month straight. Like, and our label did not do a video. We paid.
That's all I was always asked. I always wondered that why was not a video for that song?
Because one, the Black music department was turning over a lot. So, and they was putting whack people in there who really didn't know anything about A&R. Two, we paid Marley Marl out of our own pocket. We only paid him 5 racks.
Wow.
And because they didn't pay for it, they didn't have anything in their budget. None of them was gonna get the credit for it in their mind. So it was kind of like this we had a meeting with them to try to make them do a video. And this dude named Ken Harrelson or something like that was trying to convince us that the song was dope. We were like, we know it's dope. We the ones salt the people.
We know this shit's dope.
But they thought we was some R&B, just R&B dudes, and we didn't realize what we were doing. Like, bruh, come on, man, stop it. We went to Howard, man. Yo, come on. So they didn't put anything behind it, and in the hardest market to break a record in, our record was organically rising to the top. All they had to do was do a video with Jay-Z.
That would have been super dope, man. Like a black and white joint or something like.
We kept getting caught in these weird situations like that. That it just never, like, they would never let us be who we were. Like, it just kept happening. And
they wanted to keep y'all in the box.
Yeah, it was just a weird set of sequences.
They wanted y'all to be all for one. Like I said,
yeah, really, that's what they wanted. And then they was mad that I wasn't like.
They didn't know you was in the nation when they picked you up. They was like,
yeah,
hold on, man.
I had it all on the credits, you know, shouting out Minister Farrakhan and all.
Oh, yeah, no. They was trying to get you out of there, dog.
I was thinking album Blackface for a reason. Like, we was trying to reverse that whole blackface thing that Al Jolson and all of them did, you know, and Inside Your Own Face is a blackface. And our first album cover for Blackface was supposed to be these pharaohs inside of a cave with a candle with a flame. With a stone is peeling off, and you see our faces, flesh coming out the stone as human hieroglyphs.
Oh wow!
They didn't want that in. They stopped that image halfway. Like, we was just doing we were about to be X-Men up in that joint.
Like too deep.
Shai was an Egyptian name, and so they knew what that was. They knew what we were doing. You know what I mean? And they didn't want us to represent like that. Like, so they try to keep us as neutral as possible. They didn't even want us to use our hieroglyphic spelling for Shai on our albums, barely. Like, they wanted people to think it meant bashful. And so it was just a lot of that. It was just a lot of that, man. But I survived.
Stacey, go ahead.
I was saying, because they were like, can you be less black?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what they wanted. That's what they wanted.
And I want to get to that on the first album cover, because you just look pissed right there with them shades on. Like, hey,
you know what that really was? I wasn't pissed. I was like, okay, so this is our first time out the gate, and I knew how the Sharks were going to be in the industry. I wasn't quite comfortable with being in the group yet, like in terms of being out there, because I was coming from the nation where it ain't no eyes. It's a whole bunch of situations. So I didn't want to shine like that. I didn't want to be like the dude that everybody fixated on, and and then try to separate us. So I just hid. I hid myself. On the inside, you can see we had these little model kind of like dope photography pictures where each person could be seen on the inside when you open up the CD. But on the cover, I just had the hood on, the shades, because I was kind of like.
Yeah, he looked like he was ready to battle.
Hey, when I was in middle school and it came out, I thought that he was on the run. Like, you know, like, remember how Ghostface Killer was? Remember Ghostface Killer at the beginning of Wu-Tang Clan?
He had the
He wore the
mask
mask because he was on the run for a second. I was like, oh
Ghostface,
snap.
like, which is the hardest name. I swear that's one of the hardest names.
Yeah, it is ever.
Ghostface, and one of the hardest MCs. I love him. But yeah, man, I was trying to just kind of like play the back a little more. Like I was getting front man attention too quick. I wasn't expecting all that. Like I was never trying to aspire to even be in the industry, let alone all of a sudden we went from Crampton Auditorium to like singing on Arsenio, and I'm singing lead to Comforter, and I'm like, oh, like I'm barely learning the word. I'm just now getting the harmonies tight. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy for me.
So why not a third album? What happened when not, because of all the situation with the second one, and it was just like we done.
It was partially that, and Carl in the group, like when like I said, Carl and Darnell started off as beta 2-man group, and in that situation from the get-go, the whole point for Carl was he was trying to be in the industry. Darnell was trying to help him through writing and doing production stuff, but and he was a music education major. But Carl really was trying to be in the industry as his own entity. So just so happened that show at Crampton went so well supported. That wasn't the original plan for Carl. That just happened to take off like that. And then we ended up getting signed because people loved If I Ever with the harmonies, and we were singing it, and then they ended up liking the look and all the story of the Howard. But Carl always kind of wanted to be on his own, do his own thing. And so after the Blackface album, then he saw that as his opportunity to step off. He had got him a label, kind of little label deal with MCA, See Me Entertainment. And he was trying to, you know, do songs with different people and stuff like that. And so he always aspired to kind of, so at that time, instead of like sticking with us and having a third album, he kind of like went to the left and did his thing. And that effectively kind of broke us up. He knew the industry and the business better than us. So instead of us getting our real credit for like a lot of the written stuff, a lot of people thought Carl wrote everything and did everything at that time. And he was a talented ass writer, no doubt. But the other dudes, Darnell and Mark were the musicians of that group. They were like seriously the musicians. And I was a hell of a writer. I just didn't have a chance to prove it yet until that second album, because I came in kind of on the back end of what they had already kind of created. And so, you know, it was just like timing and him, you know, and a lot of people fell in love with Shai, but didn't know the internal dynamics and stuff. So
because you know, it's crazy how, you know, you think back as a kid, anybody thinks about that any group, you're like, yo, they rolling together, they eating at McDonald's all together, they doing Burger King at the same time in the drive-through, kicking it with people, and there's so many dynamics of people that intricately displace people in different places. So that's that's just how life is sometimes.
And I wasn't Hollywood. Like I was confident in who I was before the industry. I was who I was going to be. I lived 2 or 3 lives already before that happened.
I mean, you was in the nation. That's all before.
So when I got to industry, that was a fun ride. I was like, wow, you know what I likened that unto? That was to me like being in the bonus round of the video game, where you get up and get all the coins, you can get all that stuff up there. But it's a time when that part right there, you got to jump back down into the game, like Mario Brothers or whatever, and then back in real life. And I knew that reality. I knew what that was while we were in it, and I loved it while it happened. But I didn't no way, shape, or form ever believe that was real life. Like, and so it didn't define me. You know what I mean? I still trip out on how people respond to me sometimes. Like, yo, that's crazy that I got that in my life. Like, that's crazy.
So man, how did you transition to be going back into academia and becoming a doctor, a PhD?
Because that was always who I was. You know what I mean? It really wasn't a big pivot. Like I said, I grew up on college campuses. I've always made great grades in school, you know, and so I was teaching. Okay, so when I started really dimming, you know, and I had a family out in LA. I had 5 sons, you know, 2 of them are twins. Actually, big up to my twins because they got Grammy nominated for some work they did with Post Malone. They producers.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Yeah, Tyreek and Garfield Bright. Tyreek and the twin. They worked with Rockstar for a little while. This dude named Rockstar.
Yeah, I know. Rockstar.
They was one of the, you know, they was two of his dudes. But so I was working at the Gap, man, getting my kids clothes because they was growing too quick out of them clothes. And I was also going to Cal State Northridge at that time. And I met this woman who was the head of African American Studies over there. She was starting this class called The Politics of Hip Hop. And she knew that she had to come with some kind of mechanism by which to create engagement for political science, because kids wasn't just feeling political science just off the cuff. And she wanted me to help design or strengthen the class a little more, knowing that I was in the industry and I was a hip hop head. And so I did that, and we ended up making this journal, an organization called the Hip Hop Think Tank, and we had a journal called the Hip Hop Think Tank, dealing with all issues on the landscape of hip hop, from misogyny to just all kind of different things. And it was a sexy issue in academia at the time. Tupac had died, hip hop was becoming, Nas had Illmatic out, scholars were doing all kind of research on Illmatic. And so there was a conference in Atlanta called the NCBS, National Council of Black Studies, had a conference. And so we got to go present works from our thing. They like my presentation style. They like what I did. And they were like, yo, bro, if you ever want, you come through this way, we get you in the master's program in African American Studies over here. Just let us know. I was like, dang, you know, I put that number in my pocket. Like, all right. But I went back to Cali. I was teaching the day I graduated from Cal State Northridge, because I had to go back to school because I never did them 6 credits. They turned into 33 credits by the time I went back. They changed the major in terms of what you had to do. So I ended up having to take 3 more semesters from 6 to 33 units. But it was cool. I made a 4.0. And the day I graduated, I got hired as a high school teacher at an environmental charter high school in Cali. So I had a job that day. And but I went to the interview that day and got hired. And so I taught for 2 years there. And then after 2 years, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call them up on this offer, this African American Studies thing, see what they talking about. So Dr. Charles Jones, and they brought me over there, and I had a whack the GRE score like that.
Yeah.
But I had all these other compensating strengths. So they put me on, they gave me the thing, and when I did my my master's thesis, like we didn't do a portfolio, we actually had to do research. I did a master's thesis on what exactly is African-centered education. And I did interviews and I did observations, and I got the Asa Hilliard Award for the best master's thesis coming out that program. And so I just kept going. Since it was education-centered, I went to the PhD program at Georgia State in educational policy studies. And I got put on there. In the first program in master's, I had a 4.03 GPA. And then my PhD program, I ended up with a 4.03 GPA. But my dissertation ended up getting the best dissertation award coming out of that situation. And my dissertation focused on how Black males navigated inequitable power spaces. And I looked at classrooms, Black males in classrooms, and Black males in the music industry. And 3 of my participants, one was D-Dot, Derek Angeletti, the mad rapper.
Yeah.
Mad rapper.
Tracy Lee was another one. And my man, I killed an MC from a group called Jurassic 5 out of
yeah, Jurassic 5.
Those were the 3. But I also, because they had to do 4 interviews, they stuck with me. Other people who I initially had was Stickman from Dead Prez and Killer Mike.
My guy, Stick, yeah.
I had Killer Mike and Stickman, but they couldn't commit to doing them 4 interviews, so I couldn't keep going with them. So I had to pivot. But that's what it was gonna be. But it was a successful dissertation. It was really both sides of myself I was talking about, zipping that up. And, I was always a scholar in that way. I've always been real curious and critical thinking oriented, coming out of Howard, especially during the golden era of hip hop and R&B, during the crack era, during Reagan era and Bush, during AIDS at its beginning, during all these different things, Spike Lee movies coming out and proliferating the audience and being prolific in the music, the film industry, setting the tone for us. All of those things hitting us, and then music being what it was at that time, just coming from all angles hitting us. Like our party music was Rakim talking about when knowledge of self, there's nothing I can't solve. In 360 degrees, I revolt. Like Public Enemy, Brand Nubian, slow down. What I'm saying? Big Daddy Kane, all these 5%ers spitting like, 5% knowledge on us and stuff like that. But that was our party music at the same time. So we was made out of that. Like, we was just made out of that. You know what I mean? So, I carried that tradition on. KRS-One, you know what I'm saying? Like, Black Cop, all the songs, My Philosophy, everything. So we were just, I was that guy, but on the face of it, nobody really knew that part of me. They just saw the dude in Shai with the curly hair. I felt like Ghostface because nobody really knew me.
Knew your real face.
It was like, that's crazy.
So you're in academia now? Are you in academia now as a professor?
So there's a couple of different routes you can do. Like a lot of people end up becoming a professor within it. Now I taught, most definitely as part of my, prerequisites. You have to teach something, get that experience. But I didn't want to be in the ivory tower in the classrooms, in that dislocated. I'm in the hood, man. Like when I was in Atlanta, I lived in a place called Carver Homes, where a lot of my students, because it was like dual enrollment, early college was going on. Carver High School and George Washington Carver High School, Booker T. Washington High School, went to Georgia State for 3 days out of the week. And a lot of my students went to Carver High School. That was like 5 minutes away from Georgia State. I lived in Carver Homes. Basically, it used to be a project. It turned into these kind of cool apartments. But a lot of my students would see me in the neighborhood around at the corner store.
They didn't know you were in the sing group Shai though.
Yeah, I caught the bus to school and they knew me from that. So when
I'm saying like, did the students know like when you walked in, they was like, hey man, it's a dude for Shai, or they like,
well, their parents knew. Their
parents knew.
They knew. I would come to class and the video would be playing when I walk into class, like But I developed a cool rapport and cachet organically with them because I was living amongst them. They saw me at the corner catching the bus and catching the MART and the train, and so my philosophy, if you can, this might not work good for like a lot of women because they got to be more mindful of protecting themselves in certain ways. But for me, I was just in the hood, and so I developed programs in the hood at community centers, and it looked at critical thinking, media literacy, digital literacies. They know how to film themselves and create their own narratives to create counter narratives. But they get to do a score. A lot of them was hip hop heads, so they can create the narrative video wise, poll the community on different things that they thought they needed, ask them what's up, but then they got to put it together as a documentary, and then they got to put a score up under it. And so all these different things were parts of the project, a part of my program. And it was just real organically, and it made us close. A lot of them still my boys and my homegirls to this day, now that they all grown up. And I took that route. I created programs. And so I'm working with a couple of people to get some programs started at Texas A&M. I'm trying to do a couple of things at University of Houston, Texas Southern out here, with a couple of high schools right across the street from Texas Southern and University of Houston. I'm trying to, when the COVID thing clears up, I was right up about to dig in, because when I first got my PhD, I took that next year off to write a book that I had in my head. Like I needed to download. That's such a commitment. You lose friends, you lose family. People don't understand the hustle. And I took it seriously in terms of what I did. They just thought I was this dude in Shai trying to get a PhD, but they didn't realize I'm a scholar for real. So, I was doing 15-hour days of research, and people were like, come on, you're not really working all that time. Or, like they don't really, they see me that way. They really don't know me. I'm misunderstood a lot in those ways. But so after it was over with, I couldn't just totally chill because my brain was too active at that point. So I had this book idea in my head for 10 years that I've been meaning to write. And it's called Lotus 3013. And it's basically a combination of like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Beat Street. If you can remember that movie.
Yeah, of course, Beat Street.
And the premise is like in the future, in 2013, hip hop is believed to be a white cultural invention, a white cultural product. Yeah. And all the sociological things around that. And I wrote this and I did an audio book that's supposed to come out next month. My sons that I told you about, they did the score for it. They did actual score for Under My Talking. So it feels like a movie and all that. So I wrote that, and that's over with. So I'm about to put it out. I did some music. I got some music that I'm trying to put out, but later, after I get the book out.
Yeah.
But I just, and I got this thing I do on my IGTV called Curiosity Collage. And all the things as a kid that I used to look at adults like, for real? But I was like, y'all are grown-ups, okay, I guess. I went double back on a lot of those concepts that I really didn't take and really buy when I was younger, that now I'm grown. I'm gonna really go back and see if I was right, little things. And so I got a show dedicated to that called Curiosity Collage.
So I know what everybody, especially like with the tours and all that stuff, was Shai thinking about coming back to do like touring and stuff like that? Because I mean, everybody's getting back together because of it's the time period.
Well, we never stopped performing. Like remember the group Riff? One of those guys from Riff had joined the group Men of Vision way back in the day.
Men of Vision,
housekeeper.
So we ended up taking, and they like, we've been knowing them for forever. Like we knew them before we was Shai. So when we needed, like when it was just me and Darnell left in the group, we got G-Fly and Dwayne from Men of Vision to be with Shai. So that's who performed. And we've been performing, like we never stopped performing. We've been on like this dude named Young Fly Entertainment had all the 90s groups touring for the last 5 or 6 years. It would be Shai, Silk, it would be Genuine, Cut Close. Okay. You have John B, H-Town, like the usual suspects of the 90s. We've been on the road together all this time doing shows in all these different cities. So we never stopped. But the COVID, like our last show was the day before COVID shut the world down. We did a show in New York at SOB's with Christopher Williams. When I flew back,
the battle of the light skins,
that was a big homie, man. Hey, yo, talk about not really knowing the person. Christopher Williams is not the pretty boy that you see him looking like.
He ain't the brother from the bank.
He ain't the educated brother from the bank.
Chris Williams is for real on the grind, yo.
No. I heard he's thugged out though. I heard he's thugged out. That you don't want to mess around with Christopher Williams.
He's intelligent. He intelligent with it too, though. He got mad game. He just one of them dudes, one of them Renaissance dudes. But he definitely ain't nothing sweet over there for real, like at all. You know what I mean? Please don't run up on Chris Williams thinking something sweet. Nah.
This conversation has blessed. I need to understand it in real ways. And I'm sitting here talking to Garfield. So thank you for that. It's funny that you mentioned the outreach programs that you started because I go to University of Arizona, graduate in 78 days. Thank you very much.
That's what's up.
And I actually have a project due next week about media literacy. And so like you just, I'm like, yeah, I need to go ahead and hurry up and knock that out before the 3rd. But at that point, and we were talking about controlling your narrative, and my project is focusing on racial stereotypes in the media and how Black people are portrayed by the news, and how how cultivation theory affects people and how they see us on TV. And then going from there, and just the media priming of them showing us mugshots, et cetera. So that's the whole project. So as I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about because that's what I'm about to do. So it's that sometimes you need like that little bit of to hear.
Hey, Garfield, don't get it twisted though. This is the same girl that would come to my parties. I threw parties for like 10, 15 years back where we from. And she would come in, the only girl with Chucks on, ready to fight, maybe potentially. So don't get it twisted with that. Don't get it twisted with this professional version of Stacey.
Represent, girl.
Because one, heels hurt. In case there was a fight,
exactly,
I'll be the one that be able to make it to her car.
You literally didn't want to be caught slipping.
I need to be able to go.
You get to your car in one piece.
Go to my car in one piece. I ain't got to worry about taking off a shoe. I just got to. I wear a dress and Chucks. It didn't matter.
I love it.
I bet you I make it to my car.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
I make it to the car.
Hey, I love it. I do. And you gotta do me a favor, Stacey. Since you got a media-driven piece, you got to, if you don't know already, you got to go research Oscar Michaud. You just got to go.
Oh, I was just talking to somebody about Oscar Michaud. One of my best friends, I was talking to him about him, how we really don't talk about him. We talk about D.W. Griffith that did Birth of Nation. He's the Black version of that for silent film for Black people. You know what I mean? Like he was doing cowboy movies. He was doing, all the silent film stuff that we don't even know about. I think he died broke. I remember when I researched it, he died broke.
He gave breaks to the Nicholas brothers, like all of all those Black movies, Lena Horns, all those
Stormy Weather.
Yeah, that was Oscar Michaud. But he, he was the matter of fact, Birth of a Nation. He did an anti-Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, that's what he's the one. He's the Black version of that. He did the anti.
They begged him not to put that in theaters because it was so powerful.
Yeah, Oscar Michaud, and he did the first Black cowboy movie.
Yes, he did. He broke a lot of barriers. He was from the Midwest. I think he was from Kansas.
Yeah. So, because my uncle put me on him like 15, 20 years ago. My uncle's a Black cowboy, man. Like he does the announcing at the Black Cowboy event.
The rodeo.
The rodeo. My uncle is the announcer. He used to be on my uncle met you back in the day. He used to be on Magic 108 in St. Louis, the Breakfast Club. My uncle met you, him and Tony Scott. I don't know if you remember the Breakfast Club in St. Louis. He met you. And he's like, yo, tell him I said, what's up? That's my uncle. Yeah, Kevin,
I had no idea that Marcus.
Yeah, Kevin Woodson is my uncle. Yeah, that's my
Kevin Kev.
No, not Kevin. Kevin Woodson. That was on with Tony Scott in the mornings.
Okay.
Tell the brother man big respect.
So every time, if you go to Tulsa to the Black Cowboy thing, he's the announcer.
I live in Houston now. As a matter of fact.
He's the one in Tulsa for the Black Cowboy event.
Black Cowboy stuff that happens here in Dallas. Like
that's my uncle. My uncle's the author of all those. My uncle's in Argyle.
Wow. With a nice
I'm talking about he's got the ranch, the whole thing. You come out there.
Wow, he's for real with it.
No. I'm talking about, and he grew up on the north side of St. Louis. Keep it in mind.
That's crazy.
He had a dream. He had horses in St. Louis, but when it was he just bought a crib, had a whole bunch of land, and built a barn in the back before he moved it. Because he worked for Tom Joyner for 15 years before.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, he was on the Tom Joyner morning show from 95 till 2010.
Look, in the tradition, in to talk about Tom Joyner and bring Stacey into the situation, we got picked to be on a Tom Joyner cruise one time. That's the only cruise I've ever been on, was that Tom Joyner cruise. And I was in the middle of doing my master's. I was doing chapter 4 of my master's thesis while I was on the Tom Joyner cruise. In my cabin, writing chapters and then doing our performances that night at like 1 and 2 in the morning.
Hey, because they kick it the Tom Joyner cruise.
that cruise, look, I needed a vacation from that vacation. Like that was the dopest, man. I don't even want to go on any other cruise if it ain't like that. So
wow.
We need to make a 90s R&B cruise.
Like, are we grown enough at this point to go on that cruise? Like, I know that.
Yeah, I was going this year for COVID.
Yes, but like, am I grown enough? Like,
look at Stacey, we 40 years old, Stacey.
Yeah, we pushing 40.
They had all genres of music represented, and all parts of every day for 5 days straight. There was a concert going on. You got the hip hop joint popping off at 2. You got the gospel thing popping off. You got the old 70s soul. Then you got that funk era music going. You got go-go, like all genres of Black music all throughout the day, every single day, at all times of the day was a concert.
All right, man. I know we ain't got that much more time with you, but I gotta ask some tour questions about. I got 2 questions. That one is a hypothetical. One is like a real one. Okay. My hypothetical, if you had to build your tour right now with groups,
wow,
from that time, what would you build? What would the bill be set out, including your group? How would you build out that tour?
Well, my favorite group is Mint Condition. Like, if I was never in the industry or being in the industry, Mint Condition actually was the only, they call us boy bands. They were the only real band. They all play. And Stokely, the lead singer, his best thing he does is he's a drummer. But he can sing his butt off and write too. But we already, like the Young Fly Entertainment, he was actually, what you asked me, he was doing that. We didn't have Boyz II Men though. We didn't have Jodeci, and we have Mint Condition. They were so large in their own right. They had their own kind of tour thing. But I would put all the groups, if I could make all the groups from the 90s be on a super 90s tour.
I've always thought about that, like 12 groups.
I would have that. I would love that.
Everybody come out, do 4 songs and get out. 4 songs, get off.
I would love that, man. Like some groups probably deserve a little more, like New Edition been in the game for, they the godfathers of all of this. Like they are OGs to me. Like, you know what I mean? We might all be like around the same age. They started when they was like 8, 9.
8, 9, yeah.
So they the OGs. They would have to probably headline or Boyz II Men close to it, Jodeci. Those are they way did their thing, you know what I'm saying? But then the Shais, the Silks, the 112s, the H-Towns, the Mint Conditions got their own name to me too. But just all of us, the SWVs, the J's, the Cut Closes, the Changing Faces, the UMVs, the intro.
UMV, man.
Like I'm missing people, but Minute Large, Blue Boys. Who
was the group that y'all was like, man, we don't want to go on after them?
Probably somebody like a New Edition, believe it or not, like, because they just veterans in the game. They stage show, they professionalism and just knowing exactly how to work the crowd, and they just the OGs, man. They learned, when they was out as young boys, they was with them real OGs who was really good, and that's what they learned. Mm-hmm. So now even though they are age, when we do shows, you can see all that tutelage coming out of them. They got a real education in that. You know what I mean? They lived that for years before we even got signed. And then, you know what I mean? So I would probably say them. Because one time it actually happened. We were on tour, and was it BBD? No, New Edition. And that song, when Ricky singing, he put the cape on. In your eyes.
Oh, When I See You Cry Again.
Man. Look, we thought we did something. We do our thing with If I Ever Come. We do our thing. You know what I'm saying? Silk was on that
but
show.
They took it over with that.
Say Ricky came out. You know what I'm saying? Cause you know I messed up. They had their little hands doing all their little, you know what I'm saying?
The
Oh, so nobody knew
choreography.
this. This was
Coming down.
BBD then. He had BBD pop. They had
Bro,
BBD
let
on
me
y'all.
tell you, them dudes know how to perform, man. Them dudes is like
But they've been doing it for so
Yeah,
long.
like 40
so
years.
polished. They are
Yeah,
so
they've been
polished,
They've been
man.
doing it for so long. Like how do you go on behind them?
They so polished, it's ridiculous. But let me tell you, a group in our era that's actually like we all our groups are one of one. So I feel like they all from SWV to Silk to Shai,
Yeah.
H-Town, everybody does their thing in their own right. But a group that I'm really, really, really impressed with, like when I go to shows, and they younger than us. Drew Hill, man, that Cisco and the way that they do
Yeah,
their show,
Cisco is a performer,
man,
man.
them boys, I'll be enthralled on the side of the stage, like, you know what I'm saying? They give my props, man. I love watching Drew Hill rock, man, like that. I love them dudes, man. They songs are all dope, like dope. You know what I mean? Like, and Cisco be performing this shit out of them songs.
Right. He do.
Before he go on stage, he gets into this character. He get his head right. He turns into this other thing. Then he go out and be that. And then when he leave, he be almost in tears. Like he be so like in it. Like he be method actor.
Yeah.
Like carry somebody. Like he got this different approach to performance, man. I respect big time. So yeah.
Stacey, Scott, y'all got any more questions?
No, he pretty much answered the one because I was gonna ask what songs did they perform in talent show. But he said they performed the Boys to Men.
Everybody in
joint.
talent shows on the north side of St. Louis was performing Shy, if I ever call him Love Again. And I used to do it for girls on the phone too, though, when I was trying to like get with them. I used to be like, yo, I mean,
which song? If I Ever or Comfort? Which one you saying?
No, if I ever, though, because my voice hadn't fully changed yet. So it was like the in-between state. So I had to get up that high and the octave that much. So I could play it off. And then I would throw y'all's in the background, act like I had my own background singers. So I was
my God. I think Martin did something like that on the Martin show.
Over the phone, killing it.
Or Urkel, one of them did it.
Yeah, in the background. That's how I used to do.
Every time I hear Baby I'm Yours, I think about y'all being on Family Matters.
Oh, wow. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
The funnest part of that was we was playing ball in backstage between everything with Urkel. We was playing ball with Jalil, just shooting. We had a hoop on stage. We was back there balling, like tough, like playing 21 like it mattered. Like.
So, man, let everybody know all your socials, man, where they can hit you up at, where they can contact you, and what y'all got coming up soon, or you got coming up soon. Okay.
Well, on Instagram, the Garfield Bright Experience is my IG. And then like Facebook is the Garfield Bright, that kind of thing. But Shai on IG and Facebook is Shai Roglyphics. So it's SHAI and then Roglyphics, Shai Roglyphics. And you can find us on there for booking and all that kind of stuff. And me and Darnell just remade Comforter. It's called Comforter Redux, it came out so dope. We added some things to it, but we didn't take it away from the original. Like we just did some different little things, but it's dope. We're gonna release that. I did I just learned how to do Pro Tools, so I did some acapella things on Pro Tools.
I mean, your sons are producers. You better get on that.
I know, I'm whack, but I'm just now getting to it. But what I did do, I'm creative, so I did tracks with my mouth, and then I'm singing on top of it. And this one I made was this song called Indigo Child, for all the Indigo children. If you look that up, who they are. I did a song for those people out there called Indigo Child, and I'm gonna do a video. It's everybody I play the song for, it touches them, like, and so I'm gonna go ahead and do a video for that and put that out, even aside from my project that I'm gonna do. So
when is the solo project dropping?
Well, after I put the book Lotus 3013 out, be looking for that. I'm gonna be doing more announcements on my IG, so come check me out on there. But after that, and I'm gonna sell it through my IG. That's my fan base. I got 7,000. It's not a lot, but it's enough to be a followership.
All you need is a 300. As my uncle always told me, all you need is 300.
All you need is 300. Never worry about how many likes or how many followers that you got, because those are not converting to sales. So if you got 7,000 people that are willing to rock with you, focus on that.
So I'm gonna focus on them, straight from me to them.
That don't do nothing.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go straight to them, and then after I exhaust that, then I go to Amazon. But after that project, then I'm gonna go ahead and put my music out once I get back into and I'll be I got invited to do a celebrity spades tournament at the All-Star game. So you
going to Atlanta to do that?
Going to Atlanta?
Hey, that's a good look. That's a
dope.
good look.
I'm about to go do that, man. Have some fun doing that.
When is the All-Star game?
That's March 7th. March 7th.
So this weekend,
Don't flip over no table, man.
Nah, man, I'm
Look,
I'm gonna do the right thing.
did y'all see the World Series of Spades on Amazon?
No, but I heard about that whole phenomenon, man, like popping, like
It's
I'm
actually a comedic thing though, but it's not like true to form. But it's cool though, because there's a whole bunch of HBCU people on there that's basically making up the characters and stuff though, like doing a space tournament. It's pretty cool though. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
The spades games we used to have in them dorms, boy. People stealing from the books and oh my
yeah,
god.
Yeah.
Big money lost.
Yeah, Stacey, I mean, this is for you. You have any final questions, anything? I mean, I know we bum rushed you.
I got nothing. I mean, what are you doing on May 14th? You want to come to my graduation?
Let's do it.
But
sunny Arizona. Get a heat stroke.
No, she's in Dallas. She on
you in
online
Dallas?
Arizona.
I'm in Dallas, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see if I'm in Arizona or not. I don't know. I'll be
I
somewhere.
see the big A behind you.
Yeah, like that's my
There you go.
like to represent. Well, I have no idea, like because of COVID, I have no idea if I'm actually walking across the stage or if I'm be sitting
I
there.
chose not to walk. I didn't want them to hood me. I was like, I got the scholarly level, but I don't want to be one of y'all like that. So
that's real. That's real.
That's real, man.
So that's my spirit. But congratulations, Stacey. Big ups what you doing, young lady. Miss
Thank you.
Killing it. Love that.
I've been blessed. I'm in so much
Same
shock.
girl that wore chucks.
I got nothing.
I love her with all the chucks and all. And y'all are dope, man. Cool ass Scott. Check him over there. I like that.
All right, well, man, thank you though, Garfield, man. I appreciate this, man. We all
appreciate you coming on.
I had a ball with y'all.
Thank you.
All right,
stay
man.
up, man. Stay strong. Don't be a stranger. Holler at me.
No doubt. Peace, y'all.
Don't tell me twice. Say less.
Don't threaten her with a good time.
Good time. Garfield, what you doing? You watching TV? What you doing?
Yeah, you crazy.
You know the snowfall come on tonight.
Right. Just said random stuff. You like waffles? Me too.
You are ridiculous.
All right, everybody. Everybody have a good one. We appreciate it. Peace.
All right, y'all.